Cuyahoga County Finance and Budgeting Committee meeting for Monday, January 14th, 2019 will please come to order, and I would ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Calling the roll, Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Tuma.
Here.
Ms. Simon. Ms. Simon's absent at the moment. Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Strawn.
Here.
Ms. Brown. Ms. Baker. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much, and I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our colleague Nan Baker to her first meeting as a member of the Finance Committee. She attended numerous Finance Committee meetings previously, and so is no stranger to the committee, but we're very happy to have you on board and look forward to your diligence and ability in serving this committee. Okay. Do we have anybody signed in for public comment?
No, Mr. Chair, no one has signed in.
Okay. We have in our packet the minutes from the December 10th, 2018 meeting. Do we have a motion relative to those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from December 10th as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. And the ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. Matters referred to the committee.
Resolution number
Go ahead.
Resolution number 2018-0266, designating eligible institutions as public depositories of active and interim funds of Cuyahoga County, authorizing various bank depository agreements for deposits of said public funds, each in the deposit limit amount not to exceed $200 million for the period 11/1/2018 to 8/23/2021.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of Council. Chris Murray, Cuyahoga County Treasurer, bringing to you today three additional depository agreements. As you know, Ohio Revised Code 130, Section 135 authorizes and dictates that all inactive monies need to be held in deposit with eligible financial institutions. We currently have 4 institutions right now that we're working with, Key, PNC, U.S. Bank, and First Federal of Lakewood. I'm proposing now to add 3 additional banks strictly for the idea of additional coverage if we so need it. At this point, based on our operations over the last 3 or 4 years, we tend to work pretty exclusively with the banks that we have. But again, I'm coming to you now with additional banks for coverage in case they are needed.
And how were these 3 particular banks selected?
We submitted proposals from all the area banks, and we walked through with each bank the language that we required for depository agreements. We actually have 5 that we're looking at. There are 2 additional that at this point we're still working on language. If those banks decide that they would like to work with us and we can come to agreement on language, I will come back for the 2 additional banks.
And what are the 2 banks?
The 2 banks are Dollar Bank and Citizens.
Okay. And I know that there has been discussion in this committee and also in the committee as a whole about there being a process in which we would consider the bank's performance on community lending and other public benefit type considerations as part of our discussion.
Yes.
When does that come into play?
Councilman, that will come into play during the banking RFP. We'll add, I intend to add criteria, more stringent criteria for community involvement, and it will include ideas such as what you just discussed.
How is the banking RFP different from the depository agreement?
The banking RFP is, the depository agreements are strictly because we have to have all inactive monies that are not being used for daily purposes, sitting in a financial institution by code. So that's what the depository agreements are for. in the last 5 years, we have been working with one specific bank as our main account, which is Key. Our banking RFP will allow us to look for banks that are interested in providing online banking services, taking our electronic payments for real estate taxes, daily cash processing, payroll, check writing, that sort of thing.
And when are you planning to put out the RFP for the banking services?
I'm knocking on wood here, but my goal is to have the banking RFP out and advertised in March, and bring to council in October my submission for new banks.
So that would replace the current agreement with Key Bank with one or more banks, is that right?
Correct. That is correct.
Questions by my colleagues? Is there any need for this legislation to be passed under second reading suspension, or can it go 3 readings?
It can go 3 readings.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Baker.
I'm not familiar with Chemical Bank, and in looking that up, it looks like there are 29 locations in Ohio, and most of them are in Michigan, 225 locations. I don't know, is there any thought or any concern as to whether this bank will expand in Ohio or be accessible, or any of those kind of questions?
I do not know the bank's expansion plans or their strategic plans. I can't comment to that, Councilman. When we solicited bids, the banks understood what our needs were and what our concerns were. So,
Okay.
based on that criteria, we did not actively hold anyone off from making a bid. As you can see, we're currently working with banks that are that have a strong local presence, and I always that would be my default.
All right, I was just curious as to whether that was part of your thought process. Thank you.
Anything else? Do we have a motion to refer Resolution 2018-0266 to the full council for second reading?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to refer Resolution 2018-0266 to the full council for second reading at the next meeting. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Resolution's recommended. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Resolution number 2019-0019, making an award on requisition number 42514 to Tech Communications Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $590,330.26 for wide area network SmartNet maintenance services for the period 1/1/2019 to 12/31/2021.
Good afternoon, Andy Moles with Department of IT. Wanted to speak on behalf of the RFP that went out, Cisco SmartNet. It was awarded to TEC. I believe you may have the PowerPoint or a chart in front of you. For all of those that are not familiar with Cisco SmartNet, it's a software and hardware support maintenance that is supplied by Cisco. Cisco does not sell this service directly. They have to go through resellers to get SmartNet. TEC won the award. There were 14 vendors that we sent out the RFP to actually responded. The Cisco SmartNet supports our mission-critical hardware, network, voice, wireless throughout the county. 99% of our network equipment is within the county buildings and shared services throughout the downtown area. Currently, right now, we need a vendor. We chose a vendor, TEC, to represent us because they are a very, very an expert in that field, actually, is kind of what I was looking for. They've been doing it for years. In the past, what we've had various vendors supplying us with SmartNet maintenance, and it's got very convoluted. Because of our account, we have so much equipment. We have over 1,025 network devices that were purchased throughout the 5 years, and different vendors actually were awarded the purchase. So that SmartNet maintenance ended up going to that vendor. So long story short, we had over 20 different contractors and 20 different accounts that belong to different various vendors. So by going to a single expert, all we're doing is consolidating that into one vendor. They are going to manage it, administrate it, make sure that end-of-life components, we get notified, we can take action on it. It's good for budgeting, forecasting, and strategic planning in the near future.
Okay. Questions by my colleagues? I have a question.
Sure.
I'm sure that not all of these 20 or so other contracts ended at the same time. How did you manage that?
That was the most difficult part because the various contracts started different terms of the year, which made it very difficult to track and monitor. They weren't very good at responding to us, but by going to a single vendor, we can coterminous. We can make all of the devices coterminous, start on a certain date, end on a certain year, so we can better manage the devices that we have out there.
So because of these 20 various little things out there, are there going to be some cases where we're going to be paying for the same service twice at the same time?
No, sir.
No.
No.
So you were able to negotiate so that all these old contracts end and this new one starts effective on 1/1. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you anticipate that this combined contract will save us any money, and if so, how much, or will it mostly save us time and aggravation?
So it's kind of hard to determine exactly how much money that would save us, but from the long-term perspective of being able to manage it, making sure that those components that are end of life, we can get rid of, making sure that different devices don't come off their warranty so they can be reapplied, onto the contract. There's so many variables that play into it. It's kind of hard to put a number on it. But from the management point of view and looking at our strategic direction and making sure that as we move forward in 5 years, that equipment either goes off of maintenance or we purchase new equipment to replace it.
We're 2 weeks past the start date. Are there already services being provided under this contract, or were there not
No.
any need for any services yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we locked in, based on the discounts that Cisco gave the reseller, we were able to lock in those prices, starting as soon as we officially sign off.
Ms. Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The PowerPoint indicates that payment locks in that pricing with discounts up to 40%. So can you highlight some of the savings? Clearly, there has to
Sure.
be some there, so.
Oh, there, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. First of all, we're under a Cisco Enterprise Agreement, so they automatically give us 45 to 50% off of the costs right up front. To lock in the prices, and this is a Cisco rule and commitment, was that they would give us an additional 3% discount as long as we commit to pay up full for 3 years.
Councilman Tron.
So we're prepaid, is that what you're saying?
We're going to pay up front. Yes, sir.
For 3 years,
Yes, sir.
and we're getting 3%?
3% discount on top of the 50% that we got off from our enterprise agreement.
And we've coordinated with our treasurer's office as to how much money we're making on that same amount of money over that same 3%?
I believe so. Janelle is not with me today, so I can't answer that, Councilman.
It's hard for me to believe we'd only make 3% on that amount of money. We would make more money than that, I would think.
3% discount off the original price of the SmartNet.
No, I get that. But what's our cost of funds? I guess we've got money in our investment accounts that should be making over that same 3-year period, should be making more than 3%. I'm just asking if we've done some financial analysis.
I believe we have, yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
I see one head nodding back in the back. That's going the other direction of what yes would indicate out there. Perhaps we should call up a lifeline and see whether or not there's been any crunching of numbers, because I mean, anytime you prepay, it's just a matter of whether or not we make more money on the prepayment than we lose by not prepaying.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a cash flow analysis on something like that, and it's either been done or hasn't been done. In the cancellation of existing contracts and making them all start at the same time, were there any termination fees?
No, sir.
So they didn't charge us anything at all to cancel any of that. And SmartNet is their brand product?
Cisco's. yes.
Cisco's brand, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, so there is no alternative brand for maintenance and service other than Cisco? Because you can buy Cisco service warranties through other third parties out there. And what did they look like when we priced it out?
They really weren't applicable to what we were trying to do. I mean, we have over 107 devices, critical devices that that we've had maintenance on from day one.
Right?
So what we wanted to do was stick to that methodology that we were using in the past.
So all services coming directly through Cisco, or is it a third party?
Well, it would go to Cisco when there was an issue. So we would open up a Cisco TAC case in case of an issue. They would either resolve it by replacing the hardware or help us through software configurations to correct it.
I guess I'm trying to figure out who the service provider is. Who's the service provider?
Cisco.
Okay, so when the person walks in the door, they're going to have a Cisco badge on, as opposed to being a third-party licensee under a Cisco agreement.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, I didn't gotta say. And did we compare third-party providers of that service?
No.
So we only went with the factory-authorized service
And
provider?
I believe that was the only way that we could, if it's a Cisco product, yeah, you're correct. I mean, there could be some vendors out there that would support it,
Well, there are plenty of them, yeah.
but we would get tier 1 support from Cisco.
That's a different story, yeah, I understand that. It just, there's a price benefit. I was just asking what our analysis was of using, I mean, I can get work done on my automobile, or I can take it to the Ford dealership.
Correct.
There must be a reason why there are an awful lot of other dealers other ways to get your car serviced, and the same thing exists with Cisco products. There are third-party Cisco authorized repair people, and then there's the Cisco, of which we pay a higher price to go directly to, following the Ford analogy, directly to Cisco. I'm only asking, what did we price it out through third-party authorized?
I don't believe so.
Okay, and I'd love to figure out what our cost of funds is by prepaying also. I see we have Maggie back in back. She could probably run a calculation on that if it hasn't already been done. It seems to me that's a very valuable thing if we're going to take the taxpayers' money and plunk it down today for a bet 3 years down the road, we should know what we're making on that money. Because I assume that the interest rates are going to go up between now and the end of the 3-year period of time, in which case Cisco is really going to be doing well based on using our money.
I'd like to ask a follow-up question.
Sure.
You did say that 4 different firms bid on this, and Tech Communications won the bid. So if we were to go through one of these third-party folks like the councilman was talking about, would that be folks other than the people that we put this out to bid to?
More than likely, yes. Because the other four that bid on it were basically the same resellers of Cisco maintenance. As Councilman Strawn was saying, there's probably people out there. Now, whether or not they give us the best service and price, that's yet to be seen. We've had satisfaction using a reseller and going directly to Cisco for the replacement parts and for expertise. That's why we stuck with it.
Okay. Anything else? Okay.
I guess, Mr. Chairman, I'd love to figure out what's the cost of, and are we making any money on using our money? Or is Cisco the one making money on this piece of the transaction? Because I can only assume we could get a treasury valuation of what is 3-year prepayment worth to us as taxpayers. I can only assume we're losing money on that prepayment. My guess is.
My instinct is it's close to a wash, but I think we should run the numbers, and so what I'm going to suggest, if everybody is amenable, is that that we do pass it out of committee for second reading suspension for next Tuesday's council meeting, but that I would like for Mr. Moles to work with finance or OBM and determine whether how we're doing on the prepayment in terms of cost of capital, and if it turns out that it's better not to do the prepayment, then come to us with an amendment next Tuesday to increase the cost but spread the payments, and if we determine that it's equal or better to do the prepayment, well, then just confirm to us that you've done the analysis and that's the case, and then we'll pass it as is. Does that make sense?
Yes, Councilman.
Does that make sense to my colleagues?
I'll vote to support it out to this point, yes.
Okay, fine.
Subject to review of the numbers. Thanks.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Baker.
This is also a 3-year contract, so perhaps, 3 years in advance does seem quite a commitment. Maybe if we look at 1 year at a time with the ability to renew, maybe at least give us some wiggle room if there is a better alternative.
We can look at the alternatives. I think one of the reasons we went with the 3-year was the fact that, as Councilman Strawn was saying, it appears that a lot of pricing is going up within this industry. So we wanted to lock in the prices as best as we could. And we thought we got it the best, well, basically the discounts that Cisco was offering, we felt pretty happy with.
So if we don't do the prepayment, we run the risk that the price for the second and the third year might escalate more than the rate of inflation.
That was our thought process, Councilman.
Understood. Okay, Ms. Baker.
If I may, we could always write in the option to renew and ask that it not increase. We will consider a 3-year contract, but just want the ability to review it every year and do it for the same amount of money. I'm not suggesting we increase after the first year. I'm just saying to give the county a little more flexibility to have the option to renew each year for the 3 years.
We can reach out to our account rep and see if there's an option for that. I know Cisco is a pretty large company, and sometimes their laws are their laws, and they're, but we can't ask.
Councilman Strawn.
I guess I understood that it was a 3-year contract, and they were also asking for a 3-year prepayment, because the 3-year prepayment was a 3% discount on that. I guess I was missing that you can have a 3-year contract without a prepayment. You can have a 3-year contract with a prepayment.
It's a 3-year contract, with a 3% discount to lock in. So they want us to pay up front instead
Of
of,
course they do.
so their rules, their bylaws basically gave us, if we didn't want to go with the 3-year and we didn't want to pay up and we wanted to do a yearly, we would lose that 3% discount that they gave us. But then we take the risk of the prices going up every year afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, so the understanding is that between now and next Tuesday that that you're gonna
We'll do analysis.
do an analysis on whether the prepayment makes sense, whether we have, I mean, to my mind, there's 3 ways we could do this. One is the way that you're doing it. The second is that that we could have a 3-year contract where we pay a year up front, then we pay for the second year, and we pay for the 3rd year. And the prices are set now, but we don't pay it all up front. And then the third way we could do it is where we only commit to a 1-year contract at this time, and then the price is up for grabs in the 2nd year and the 3rd year. So it could be any one of the 3. So so you're going to get back to us on what our options are and what you recommend, but you'll bring it. This contract is already. The date is already underway. We want to get this going, but we could, if we need to do an amendment at the council meeting on Tuesday, we could do it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion for second reading suspension?
Second.
Okay. Been moved and seconded for, to recommend this resolution 2019-0019 to the full council with recommendation for second reading suspension, with the understanding that you will report to us prior to the council meeting regarding our options on the payment structure. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. It's recommended. Ms. Ashley.
Resolution number 2019-0020, making an award on requisition number 42515 to Tech Communications Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $1,813,920 for network professional services for the period 1/1/2019 to 12/31/2023.
Good afternoon again. Andy Moles, Department of IT, representing the TEC Communications Network Consulting Services, RFP. TEC, again, was the only vendor that actually submitted their official RFP to this. This was put out to various companies. They were the only one that actually were able to submit it. Little background on TEC. They've been working with us for 5 years now. They've been a very, very reliable company, understanding the business initiatives throughout the county. They've worked very, very hard in supporting a lot of the contact centers, some call centers at the various agencies. As you can see from the dossier they have, they've been pretty much working hand in hand with all of our personnel, both from the HHS and the county perspective on many applications throughout. They do have 4 excellent certified engineers. Now, the reason why we bring these people in is because of their specialized skill set. We do not have that specialized skill set when it comes to programming, creating workflows, the interior project management that takes place in building these. And these things are very large. Again, as I stated, we've created such a good process, and as part of TEC, they've been, step by step, working with everybody, understanding what the objectives are, what the requirements are within the county organizations. So they have done a lot of work. Their technical staff, like I said earlier, is very skilled in different areas that we cannot keep up with. We can augment our staff with theirs very easily to accomplish a lot of requirements that are taking place throughout the county, both from the Wi-Fi, both from the voice infrastructure, the WAN, and most importantly, the firewall security aspect of it. So this award would be a 5-year, and that would take us into starting January or whenever this is approved, would bring us right back into working on the projects that we have been working on and working hand in hand with the personnel that's been, people that have been working with us. So, any questions?
Questions by my colleagues? I have a few questions. Sure. Unlike the other one, is this one where we have previously contracted with the same company for the same set of services?
Yes, Councilman.
For how long?
It was a previous 5 years.
And is there a defined set of services and expected costs involved here, or is this kind of just as needed?
It's a just as needed, but based on our project forecasting. So if we understand, a good example is we're looking at putting in a new, it's called a call media server. It's for a video bridge. That was a project that we put in place 2 years ago that we've been taking time because there's so many different projects taking place throughout the county. It's kind of hard to have enough staff to be, resources to be positioned in the different projects. So having these individuals available to us, we can actually assign them to specific projects and expedite the project a little bit faster than us being pulled from different various projects.
What's the cost of this contract compared to the previous contract?
This contract is 1.8, previous contract was 1.7.
And is it billed like on a per hour basis for services?
Monthly, I believe it's a monthly based on hours.
And how does the hourly rate compare with the previous contract?
I'm going to ask Melanie, who's the president, because I wasn't here prior. That was 5 years ago. Did you?
Their rates are about the same. I think maybe.
Could you please come up to the microphone? Please introduce yourself and then answer the question. Thank you.
Hi, Melanie Schilling, and I'm with TEC Communications. We were able to just have a small increase for inflationary purposes from the last period to this period. So they were pretty comparable, and we're able to maintain those rates for the next five-year period.
So by a small increase, what are we talking about?
I think it was about 5%, if memory serves.
5% more than was in the last contract?
Than the last one, which was
Okay.
5 years previous, yes.
Okay, fine, thank you. Is the payment schedule per invoice as services are provided? as opposed to being upfront like the other one?
No, it's not upfront. It's based on project. And it's per project, per month.
Okay, fine. Any other questions? Oh, yes.
No, no, we are not.
Okay. Okay. So, we're already past the start date on this, so I'm gonna recommend to my colleagues that we recommend this for passage on second reading, suspension at the next council meeting. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second? Been moved and seconded by Councilman Schwan and Councilwoman Brown to recommend Resolution 2019-0020 to the full council with recommendation to leadership to place it on the agenda for second reading, suspension, approval at the next council meeting. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, and it will be so recommended. Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much for your time.
Okay. The last item we have on the agenda for today is I'd like to call to everybody's attention and see if there's any discussion or comment regarding the Finance and Budget 2019 planning document. And as it's in your packet, the last page, and as stated, there's 5 main things on our plate for this year. The first is the 2019 update on the budget, which is going to begin shortly. This is something that normally would have been done last November, but because of the ERP project, it was by agreement not done in the usual fashion, and we're gonna do it by means of considering a single fiscal agenda, which will contain all the budget balancing items for 2019, and we expect to get that sometime next month. Second is our quarterly reviews that we have every year. We'll do one for the year-end actuals, one for the first quarter, and one for the second quarter. The third is the continuing saga of ERP oversight. Next meeting on that score is in Finance and Budget 2 weeks from today on the 28th, and with Zig Berzins on Thursday the 31st. The main event for the year is the 2020 to 21 two-year biennial budget, with the budget submission date on October 8th and passage expected on Tuesday, December 10th. And the final item is that our committee should have a role in the decision that we're going to have to make about what to submit regarding the next Health and Human Services levy, which expires at the end of next year. The presumed timing is that it would go on the ballot for the spring primary, which is in the second week of March of 2020, meaning that we would have to make a decision in the late summer to early fall of this year. So those are the kind of things that are on our plate. On the document, we also have listed all the ERP meetings that have already been scheduled. Then we have possible dates for the quarterly reviews, and I would ask about the first one. I had kind of assumed that Monday, February 11th might be preferable, but the clerk's office is saying that that's actually the same week as a council meeting, not the week that we normally meet. And so a more regular schedule would actually be to have it on Thursday, February 21st, because the Monday is President's Day. And so I kind of thought that Monday's preferable to Thursday because more of us are here, but Thursday is more of a regular scheduling. So if anybody has an opinion on that, I would like to hear it. And I would also mention one other thing that the clerk brought to my attention, which is that on Tuesday, October 8th, the council meeting was moved from the normal 5 o'clock to 3 o'clock because of a holiday that begins at sundown. And so the detailed overview of the budget would be at 1 to 3 p.m. on that day instead of 3 to 5. So that's kind of the overview on where we're heading. Everybody who is on the finance committee, I think, is going to earn their pay and more this year. We have a lot to do. So is there any comment or questions on the program overview? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I thank you for taking the initiative to roll this out so that we have a good idea of what to expect in the upcoming year. And as far as the meeting goes on with the options for February 11th or the 21st, I'm good with the 11th.
Okay. That's fine for me. Okay. Okay.
That's great, great.
Good on the 11th. Okay. Okay. There, any other comment? 1 to 3 on the 8th of October.
That's another year from now. If I'm
Yes.
alive,
Okay,
I'll be here.
okay. Okay, so, does anybody have any miscellaneous business? Hearing none, there's nothing further to hold our attention, so the Finance and Budgeting Committee is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.